at WLFE-DB.com for upcoming shows and so much more.
Hey everyone, it's Tuesday night again. You know what that means, don't you? It's time to join Mike and Christy for another episode of Where's My Sage? A show hosted by a psychic medium and a guy on a quest to find Bigfoot. Who would have thought? Together, they will take you on all sorts of adventures, and not with lots of different people. Christy even gives readings. It's time to sit back, get up and get ready. You can't sample the universe sitting down. Your hosts are waiting. Come on, let's go.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Where's My Sage? I'm Mike with my wonderful co-host, Christy London. And Christy, before you go too far, guess who's muted already?
That's not fair. Listen, I'm a little more airheaded than usual, okay? I had my second shot today. I was feeling good, but just tired. And even still good. But then as the day went on, I just keep feeling like disconnected, weighted down, like airheadish. Like I almost fell the one like an hour ago.
That's not good.
No, I don't know. It might have helped. I don't know. So yeah. Boy, that's karma. That's lady karma for me right there.
It's been a crazy couple of weeks with paranormal, with Bigfoot,
Yeah.
We did the whole Mexico thing with Sheila, and unfortunately we missed you guys last week. Hi Lisa. So we got folks coming in. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, hit those buttons, get the word out there. Hey, Carrie, thank you for sharing us up on Instagram today.
Yes, thank you.
For some reason, YouTube and Facebook have been running a little slower than usual and getting the notifications out.
Yeah, they've been.
So please get those shares out tonight. We've got a great guest ahead.
Yes, we do.
You have any other projects coming up this week, Christy, that I'm not aware of?
Well, let's see. 26, I'm going to film another location. The show that we've been working on, we with a different crew have been, looks like as of right now, we're hoping that it will air. Season 1 will air in the fall. Maybe a little sooner, but probably not, more like the fall. So that's pretty exciting. So the 26th, we're going to another location to film. So we're going to have a whole bunch all ready to go for season. Awesome. So it's going to be great. Yeah. But otherwise, a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Yeah. I mean, you're on somebody else's show at the end of the week. I'm at somebody else's show at the beginning of the week.
That's right.
We've been kind of making the rounds lately. So
yeah.
We did the project there with Matt over at Central Florida Bigfoot. If you guys want to go over and check his channel out, it's at Working Together with Tim T out of Florida. They got some really cool things, showing some technology, and we're going to talk some technology tonight. And then Sean Faulkner's got me on his show next Monday night, and then you've got yours on.
Did I give you the slide for that show I'm going to be on, for the podcast I'm going to be on Friday?
No.
Okay.
We can put it up later in the break or something like that.
All right, because it's called the For Real Watchers Radio Show, and it's a podcast. So that'll be happening this Friday night, and you can find it on our pages. I did share it around on the pages and whatnot. So, but I will be talking to those guys. Jeremy and Brett. Yes, Jeremy and Brett. Yeah, so that'll be fun. Yeah. Cool. We should probably give everybody a heads up too, and then remind them at the end of the show what we've decided for the summertime.
Yep.
Okay. So, all right, you guys, there's a lot going on for the summer. And, Mike and I have the projects we do together. We also have projects we do separately, and we have families and lives, believe it or not, even though sometimes it doesn't feel like it. So for the month of July and the month of August, we are only going to be on twice a month. 2 shows a month. We need time. We need to spend, time with family. We need to be able to have time to get projects done, but so do all of you. So, it's nice. We want people getting out and enjoying themselves, but us, and that we tend to just do things on a whim.
Yep.
And so don't be surprised if, we just pop on and or show up somewhere and do a live. So, but we want time to be able to do that as well while it's nice out too. So, but we have some big trips coming up too. So that's going to be...
we're going to be out doing some live investigations with folks. We're going to be in Gettysburg for the Gettysburg Bash. We're going to be in Michigan for the Michigan Paracon. I might get down to West Virginia for another cryptid thing. I'm going to be in Whitehall for the Bigfoot contest. So we're going to be out and about, and we're going to be doing some live shows from there as well. So, hello, Colette. So folks are coming in from all over the world. So let's get into our guest this evening, unless I missed something else. And
I don't think we did. I know we're not going to even scratch the surface with him tonight, are we?
No.
Yeah. Wow.
So,
Hi, Mary. I hope you're feeling better. Oh, that's my friend Mary. She was really sick last night.
And hi, Dom.
So, hi, Dom. Yeah. So, this man is.
Most of us are here because his productions. So tonight we have Mr. Doug Hajicek, who is a successful television and documentary series producer and television show creator, committed to bringing daring voices and innovative ideas to the screen. He is respected in the industry as a cutting-edge credentialed technologist, camera system inventor, wildlife researcher, documenting never before seen behaviors of animals such as black bears, beavers, fish, and invertebrates. He is the president and founder of White Wolf Entertainment, a television production company specializing in nonfiction programs with over 206 features under his belt. Wow.
Quite impressive.
Doug has been producing television shows for national networks since 1985. He's currently developing a full-length movie or a series entitled Legend Meets Science 2, or the Legend Meets Science series, if you got to see the original. And he has been there for Monster Quest. He also has his own podcast and radio show, Untold Radio AM, on Spotify, iHeart, Apple Podcasts, and that's on Wednesdays at 7 Central. And there's so many more things that we're going to go through tonight. And I'm going to bring Doug on.
Well, yeah, I mean,
a few because I'm going to miss half of them. So why are
trying
you
to post
already?
This man's bio? StreamYard wouldn't let me do it. When I made the slide and created the show, it was so long, and I went to click on it, and I went, what's wrong? And then I looked, and in big red it said you can only, I way exceeded the characters that were allowed. I've never done that before. It was amazing. So I had to cut it down, and so this will be great. I'm looking forward to this.
So I'm going to bring Doug up. Good evening,
Hello.
Sir. How are you?
Oh, he's muted. You did
not
mute him.
Hey,
what's that?
We did the same thing you did.
I know. See, that's what I get when I have to do the tech guy's job. But see, we're supposed to do it for you. So that's welcome to the show.
How are you guys?
Welcome.
How are you guys?
We're well. Hanging in there.
Yeah, it's just how come I was mentioning before. Every time I have to do a podcast, it's always beautiful out. It's just
all right. We'll throw in a towel.
No,
yeah. All right, bye, Doug.
And just make the next beautiful day seem more beautiful.
Oh, I love that. See, glass half full.
There
Very
you
good. Wonderful.
So, Doug, how did you get started in the production business?
Okay. Do you really want to know the truth?
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
We like all the dirty truths and secrets and everything else. Lay it on us.
Oh my God. It's a little bit long story. I'll try to shorten it. So when I was really young, like 15, I started working on a new type of polymer. Because I knew that if I could, I had this idea for a new polymer, a new type of automotive sponge, weather strip. Because back in those days, all the weather strip around car doors was just ugly and it was horrible and hard. And I just got really interested in sponge. So I thought, okay, if I can get this done, by the time I'm in my 20s, I'll have enough money to do what I want to do. That's how I got in the TV business. Except it took a little longer than 20. I started experimenting, adding, what I did, I was a dumb kid. I had no idea of chemistry. So I started just calling all these big chemical companies, asking for samples, free samples of chemicals, till I, told them what I was wanting to do. And so they would send me these little bags of chemicals, and I would add them to existing, rubber. And I would mix them, and then I would bake them at different temperatures and pressures. And one day I had success. And to this day, I still am the only company that holds the formula for that type of modern door weather strip that you have on your cars.
Really?
Wow.
So we have you to thank for that as well. That's great.
So then I went on, after the development of this beautiful sponge, to get into the TV business. And I knew nothing about the TV business. And I always thought, well, I can hire people, right? I don't need to go to school for TV. I can just hire the people.
Right.
And I can just learn from them, work, whatever. But I can do a good job at maybe selling, getting something on the air. And that's what I did. So at a very young age, I met an outdoor writer that I had been reading since I was a little kid. And I was at this celebrity trap shoot, a shooting expedition, exposition. Then there was John Satterwhite, the world's fastest shot. And Ron was the MC, this writer. And I just adored his writing. This guy he was amazing. And so there he was sitting on a park bench alone at this thing. And I sat down, introduced myself, and said, hey, I want to do a TV show with you. And then found out he lived just blocks away from my home, invited him over, and over a brandy and a napkin, we got a TV show laid out, an outdoor wildlife TV show laid out. We went because he was so well connected and had been an outdoor writer for 25 years probably at that point. We went right to a network, got a meeting, and ended up landing the show.
Wow.
So I got my first TV show, bam, just went really smooth and really quick. And I literally had to pinch myself because I'm in the TV guide now. Oh, we're on the cover of the TV guide. And so the cool thing is, guys, is that show is still on the air. That's the cool part of the show. Now his daughter is now the host and presenter of the show. So I'm very yeah, and literally countless acres of wetlands have been set aside all over the USA because of that show. I mean, I heard maybe up to 1 million acres have been now set aside because of that show. Because they would raise money with all of these things, and then they would give it to Ducks Unlimited, and they would buy, wetlands.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I like your style. You just walked up to that's kind of how I am too. My things on up sometimes is like, you did what? You just messaged this person? I'm like, well, how else am I supposed to get a hold of them? Yeah, of course I just messaged them.
Well, it was weird.
Or I just went up to this person. What else am I going to do?
I was at this trap shoot with Larry the Axe Hennig from the wrestling, from AWA Wrestling. He was a famous wrestler. In fact, he was one of my grandfather's heroes. And I was there with him and his son, Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect from the WWE Wrestling. And Larry got mad at me. He goes, you just can't sit down next to somebody like that. And he was just kind of thought it was a little bold of me to do that. But not only did it change his life, because he was on the air then for 30 years. His daughter is now the host of the show. And
are you allowed to tell us the name of the show?
Sure. Oh, absolutely.
Oh, okay. The way you're saying it, I wasn't sure. I don't know the rules.
Absolutely.
So I'm just going to ask you.
It's two different names. Backroads with Ron and Raven, which is on like ESPN.
Okay.
And I don't know. Maybe they might have changed it because Ron just retired and his daughter took over. And then Minnesota Bound. So if anybody wants to look up Minnesota Bound. Yeah, and the show was it was immediately in 5 states, my first show. But so it was because of that show I ended up in the Arctic. Right, I'm up in the Arctic, and we were up there doing a story called "The Lake" that had never been fished. It was on Knowlton Lake up in the Arctic.
Okay.
My goal there was just to produce this TV, little TV vignette for our show. And then it was during that I was reeling in a 30-pound lake trout, which is huge. It's a trophy.
That's a nice fish.
It's a nice fish, but it's not out of the ordinary. But there was a 6-foot fish trying to catch that 30-pound fish. And it was about 40 inches on the lake trout, 40 inches long.
Wow.
But this other fish was at least 72 inches, if not even bigger. And it was slowly coming after this other fish. And I asked the guide, I said, you saw that, right? And he goes, oh, yeah. He goes, yeah, we see those once in a while, but they're too big to ever catch. So then I went back home, got a fisheries biologist, and I said, we're going to go up and get the world's first footage of one of these giant lake trout. And so we were up there in the Arctic again, and that's where I saw the footprints that completely changed my life.
Wow. All right. That's
And
a
that
nice way to transition into. I like that.
So that's the story. I don't think I've ever told the full story.
Wow.
Now, were you able to get some video of those trout or any DNA on that material?
We came really close. We went up there with, for instance, our tackle box was a big, huge ice chest. That's how big our lures were.
Wow.
And we finally hooked into a huge fish, right? Probably could have been 50 pounds. It wasn't this giant, 100-pound lake trout or 200-pound lake trout. And we got it near to where I could get the camera to it. And all of a sudden, out came a skeleton of a 5-foot trout. A full skeleton is now on the end of this, lure this big. We now have a skeleton of a 5-foot trout on just a complete skeleton of a fish. Wow. Now, would you care to guess, Mike or Chris? Because it took us a while to figure it out.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that, so Mike's going to have a way better chance
Go ahead, Mike.
than I am.
Take a guess on that one.
Pardon?
Take a guess. We ended up with a 5-foot fish skeleton on the end of our lure after we had just been fighting a huge monster fish.
Because the monster fish ate and I've had that happen.
Up, really?
You go in and grab and
pull out its stomach contents.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, and it had digested just enough where the skeleton was rubbery. And it came out completely intact out of this giant trout's mouth.
Do you have pictures of that?
Yeah, I do.
Love
actually.
to see that.
I do.
Oh my god!
I actually had to buy or build a warehouse to hold all of my tapes. So, and they're pretty organized, but still a nightmare because you got to climb over mountains of boxes.
Wow.
So to find that one tape, I could. If someone
someday
10,000, you can't find that tape.
Like that warehouse on Indiana Jones.
Yeah. So,
oh my god.
Yeah. So then we went to shore. Simple, it's a real simple story. We went to shore. There were giant footprints on the shore. We followed the giant footprints through this beautiful sand. I mean, these footprints were detailed. You could see they were, 16 and a half inches. They had the toes. They weren't bear prints. They walked up the beach into the pea gravel. They were very deep in the pea gravel. And then we came to the tree line. There's very few trees up there, and the trees will kind of start and stop. It's where it's too far north where they can't grow anymore.
Okay.
And there was a footprint in front of a tree trunk and then one right behind the tree trunk. So that can only mean one thing. It stepped over the tree.
Wow.
Okay.
And the tree was about 7 foot tall. That was a life-changing moment for me. Something made those footprints.
Wow.
We're in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
We got to the lake by float plane, and then we had a, I don't know, 20, 30 mile trip from the float plane to the area we were at. So a very desolate area. Yeah.
Wow.
Now, what drew you to that particular location?
That was on the suggestion of the fisheries biologist, because he claimed he had seen lake trout that were in that 6 foot category on that lake.
Okay.
And he had other close calls trying to get them up.
Okay.
But that's why we were there. All by chance.
Wow. That's usually how those things happen, though, right?
You're right. It is kind of weird if you think about all the little things that have to happen to get any of us into the position we're in today.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was just tell you a real quick story to invert it. But
yeah,
I was with a guy yesterday who's going to be my camera guy on this one shoot. And we were driving up north, and just so happens these people called from this crime show, and we have to go do this arrest, right? And we have to film it. And I looked at him, and he's like, yeah, I've even got a bulletproof vest. Okay, we're all good. So we're talking to these crime people. And the next thing you know, Adam goes, how did we meet anyhow? And I said, well, I mentioned there was a woman I met in the Arctic who introduced me to a guy named Al. Al introduced me to a guy named Mark. Mark introduced me to a guy named Dan. Dan introduced me to you.
Okay, that makes sense.
Nobody ever thinks about those coincidences, and it's almost paranormal. It is almost paranormal.
Yep.
Right? Because the chances of knowing the right people really affect, me, you, affects all of us and what we do, what we can accomplish in life. And literally, Adam is a Bigfoot researcher also.
Okay.
And so you just think, how did this Inuit woman in the Arctic, if it wouldn't have been for this very humble Inuit woman, I wouldn't have met Adam. And we're working on projects all the time because he's really into technology. So,
wow.
And that's why we're pretty much the taste of the universe, because stuff just, I don't understand how things work. 4 or 5 years ago, you would not catch me where I'm at now.
And vice versa.
Yeah. I mean, I got pulled into this. I had talked to a DEC, our law enforcement up here for the environmental guys, about the big cats. And he, in passing, said, I don't believe in the big cats being in New York State, but I did see Bigfoot stuff down here, and I put it back. And then as a joke, I ended up getting into finding an article, which led me to Steve, which led me to you, and into the Monster Quest, and had some surgeries and rewatched probably every episode at least a dozen times. I love DVRs.
But it's almost paranormal, isn't it? How you can take a right-hand turn.
Everything happens for a reason, and your guides will always help you.
Right. And that's
if you follow their lead.
I've always looked at that and thinking there's no way that could have ever been a coincidence. There's not a chance.
You're meant to do it.
Yeah. You just certain things just like bing, 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 bing. It happens. And it seems to be the more you're curious about, the more you have coincidences, but the more curious you are, the more coincidences you seem to have. Mm-hmm. So it seems like you're getting helped when you're doing something.
That's exactly it. Your curiosity, is your gut. You're following your gut instinct. Your gut is your intuition. Your intuition is what your past loved ones help. That's how they connect with you to help you. Your spirit guides, your higher power. Excuse me. And you're right. That's if you follow that lead, you will not go wrong. Even if it feels like you shouldn't have, or there was a mistake, or it didn't work out the way you wanted or thought, you didn't go wrong. You're where you're supposed to be. And that's what's most important.
So totally threw me off my game plan here, but you've been doing this for longer than most of us. You've met a lot of people. I'm sure you heard the stories of some of these cryptids being protectors of the forest and everything else like that. And I just heard there was a whole bunch of wetlands that are now saved because of a show that you started. You have a lot of us out there searching. Do you think maybe the universe put you in our lives to help protect the environment? Or have you ever thought about that?
No, actually, no, that would be a weird connection. But it might be right if I truly did inspire anybody to get into Bigfoot. And if one of those people finds it, proves it's real, more land gets protected, sure. I wouldn't take credit, but I would give credit to whoever put all these people together. But yeah, it would be cool to be part of the thunderbolt, part of the spark, I guess.
Yeah. Right. But, I'm just wondering if the universe has kind of put you there, just hearing that all these wetlands have been protected just from a show. I mean, just hearing that in what got you started into this, is it on there? And from those footprints, you ended up reaching out to Dr. Meldrum, correct? Or was there...
And there were other people too. I reached out to everybody because I wanted answers. I couldn't, I'm like, this is before internet. You couldn't just Google Bigfoot. And I wanted answers. So I just started calling everybody I could. I did get a hold of Matt Moneymaker, and he was very gracious. Gave me all the time I wanted to explain. These things are everywhere. There's woods, water, and hills. And that really went, oh, okay, yeah, water, check, forest, yeah, hills, yeah, everything. And it was just kind of weird. And then when I realized my home state may have these animals, that the state of, next to me, right and left, Wisconsin, and on and on. I mean, it was just life-changing, and then, we went on to do... And me and Matt, I had pitched Matt. I said, hey, I want to do a show. So I want to get this information you told me out to the world. And the only way we're ever going to do that is to get a mainstream show on the air. And so Matt helped me, and we figured out all these different forensic, experiments that could be done. The fingerprints, just nobody knew anything about latent fingerprints in the footprint, or the footprints had friction ridges. We did feed size and, bell curves and, the reenactment on the Memorial Day footage and on and on and on. And of course, then I met Meldrum and Legend Meets Science aired on the Discovery Channel. And that was, of course, life-changing for me because now it gave me a chance to, start doing network work.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what is your opinion? Because you referred to Bigfoot, Sasquatch as animals. What is your opinion on what they are and what's going on with all of that?
I haven't formed one. One thing I do know, they're smarter than I am.
Oh? Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
You could take me and drop me off, in the middle of nowhere, and I may live 30 days.
Or that would be like, 20 longer than me.
The smarts, as a humanoid, of the smarts you have to survive. It's incredible. I don't know what they are. I really don't. I haven't formed any opinion. I know less now than I ever did, because every time I think I've really laid this amazing complex trap, and we're working on another one now. Not to hurt one, just to get its photo, to get video. And every time we're outsmarted, but every time it leaves evidence that it outsmarted us, which is key here.
Talk about that.
Oh my goodness. I'd have to tell you the exact stories to give examples.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've done everything from primitive traps to, obviously very high tech. So talk about a primitive. So I go back and forth between extremely primitive, things that are mechanical, no electronics, to electronics. And every time they go, up yours. Watch what I can do.
Well, we can relate to that, right, Mike?
And they
Oh,
do.
yeah.
Okay. So I'll just give you
Yeah,
one
for
example.
sure. Paranormal and cryptid alike.
In fact, my internet is taking me out right now. I'm going to be right back. I'm switching over to the backup system.
All right.
Oh no. So, I mean, you take a stainless steel bowl, right? Very experimentally man-made looking. You drill a hole in the lip and you put a little thin line on it to something that's going to, make a mechanical, not electronics, going to make an alarm go off. So the thing, instead of just grabbing the bowl and running, it scares everybody away from the whole area so it can come in and pull the bowl 1 or 2 feet to set the alarm off, and then that's the end of it. So it knew that it was a trap because it came to set it off, but it knew that it had to scare everybody away so it could run in and set the trap off. Which it did. It would literally just barrel 2 trees down.
Wow.
I mean, people go running. When that happens near you, you just run. In fact, one guy almost got killed. He literally slipped and fell so hard on a slippery rock up in Canada. Ooh. His feet went way up in the air and he landed back down on a sharp, big, huge rock. Ooh. I mean, he could have been killed.
Yeah.
But he didn't. But then my son left him laying there. Where's Joe?
So bad. We're laughing. The poor guy's like,
I don't know. He's still out there. And I'm like, okay, we got to go get Joe. Yeah. He wasn't dead, but that's the kind of things that they do. And it's just, could you imagine the laughter that this thing probably had?
Oh my gosh.
Seeing Joe's do the curly shuffle and land on his back. And then the other weird thing is nothing ever touched that bowl. Think about a bowl of fruit, grapes, fresh other fruit, apples, oranges, cooked bacon, raw bacon, beef cooked on raw, hard-boiled eggs, raw. I mean, just everything. Cheese, everything you could imagine. Peanut butter. Not one animal ever touched that whole week. Not even a mouse. Why not? Wow. It must have had scent on it. It's the only thing I can think of.
Now, have you come across any other animal carcasses that have been skin stripped off, and everything doesn't look like it's been gnawed on by any rodents or any other animals? Or
sure, plenty of stories there. One of the weirdest things that we find are deer with the hair pulled off. Then the liver will be gone, maybe some other soft organs. But the hair has been plucked off. All of it. As if something is sitting there just picking picking the petals off a daisy.
Yep.
You're kind of out of an OCD type behavior.
Right. Mike, you seem like you're relating to that. Have you seen that before?
Yeah. March in Florida, in April in New York. So
really?
If Matt or Paul are listening, I know Paul's probably ankle deep in some stream in Oklahoma right now, so he's probably not listening. My research partner, and but yeah, I did 2 recent in the last year. One in Florida, and actually we've got some video of that. And
you're talking about the hair.
The hairs, yeah, like literally the hairs in one pile, and the carcass is in another.
Yep.
And the one actually had a stick through the eye. So
things like that, yes, over and over and over again.
Wow.
But to me, I've got a story that might relate to it because I witnessed something one night that gave me a clue to that behavior. And this is not my theory. It was actually Christopher Noel, right, who had this that they have these autistic behaviors, which doesn't mean anything, but they have behaviors and things they do where they'll repeat the same thing over and over and over again, like plucking hair off a deer for no reason.
Right.
We were up at a remote cabin one time, and about 3. We knew there were Bigfoot in the area because we had already had one scream right next to us.
Wow.
It's blood curdling scream. We'd already heard a wood knock. First night there, off the grid cabin, solar powered, completely off the grid. 11 miles down a little 2-track road that was very rugged. And it came up the porch. I heard it something heavy walk up the porch, up the stairs, and there were 2 recycling bins outside on the porch, one for glass and one for aluminum. And it came up and it opened those recycling bins over and over and over and over and over. Then it would do the other one over and over and over. You have to push a button, it lifts. Then you push it back down and it clicks. You push the button, it lifts because it's on a spring. So the lid comes up automatically. And I just, once again, you have to use your imagination to go, oh, I could see something that doesn't have access to things like that this is really cool.
Right.
And then it would walk down and play with the Velcro on Joe's truck on the tonneau cover.
It's like a child exploring and discovering.
Well, actually, child or a 80-year-old man who had never seen something cool.
True.
And never had a safe place to touch it and feel it where it's safe.
Fidget spinner.
So, yeah, and it did it but it did it like 5 times. It walked up the stairs, did the recycling bin. Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting. After all that's done, and I'm sitting here, and I'm sitting right, this is probably 2 feet from my head, this creature. But I've got my daughter with me, and she's, at that time, I think she was 12. And my gun is laying on the ground, which I would only use for self-defense. Mm-hmm. It's not loaded. And I'm thinking, okay, do I get up and scare this thing away? What is it going to do? Mm-hmm. There's a piece of glass right by her head. And this thing is literally standing right by her head. And it kept doing it. And all of a sudden, it decided to push the cabin or run and hit the cabin. And it literally almost knocked us both out of the bed. It was that powerful. It was like someone took I hate to say a semi truck, but a big Dodge pickup and rammed into the side. It was that powerful.
Wow. And does your daughter remember? What is she
God,
think?
Yes. Oh, we just talked about it the other day. It's changed her whole life. Wow. Let's put it that way. Because it now lets her know that, hey, the world's not figured out. There's mysteries out there.
Yeah.
And she's had multiple things with you, correct?
Not this one. This is my youngest.
Okay.
My very, very youngest. And she was at that time, skeptical. When you're 13, 12 years old, you're skeptical of everything. And she hears dad and son and, everybody tell these stories and she's never done anything. So she goes there open-minded, but skeptical. And we didn't know we were going to have activity. You never know, but we did. And we planned this area right for a reason where we were right next to the boundary waters, right next to a number of streams, right next to a desolate lake, right next to a power line cut, right next to, this and all the geographic features. Mm-hmm. So we knew it was going to, next to a giant blueberry patch with the ripe blueberries. And we timed the trip so the blueberries were ripe right next to the cabin. Just endless amounts of blueberries. So we figured, okay, if this is going to be a good spot, it's going to be a good spot. But she left that trip, and definitely changed her life. Totally different person now.
Very interesting.
Definitely would spin you up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What spun me, the power. That's the first time I felt that kind of power.
Right.
People don't believe me when I say it felt like, the whole cabin just got boom. And the whole wall moved and it was nuts.
Did you hear a noise? Did it make any sound when it did that? Did you hear anything?
Well, it had just got to playing with the Velcro again. And,
but you didn't like grunt or.
No, it didn't make
any
no vocal noise. No, but every time they do this big, powerful show of power, I call it the grand finale. They'll throw something at the cabin and they run just like a gorilla. And that was the end of it for that night. And then, of course, it came back every night and did something.
Wow.
something major to the cabin,
Huh.
Now our listeners come from all walks, so because we cover energy healing and the paranormal and the cryptid stuff.
Right.
Along with this, you've been looking at other wildlife and developing cameras for bears and beavers and everything like that.
Yep.
So your equipment is really diverse in the wildlife you've gone looking for. So you had a lot of experience with bears, more than most have.
Oh, God, yes.
Out in. Could you explain some of that? That tech background.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, I've walked with wild bears and mothers and their cubs to the point where they ignore you. I filmed a documentary even for Animal Planet called "The Man Who Walks with Bears" with Dr. Lynn Rogers. And part of making that documentary, I had to be alone with black bears all the time.
Whew.
And I had to do things like, get into the den. At one point, we took cubs away from a wild mother to see what she would do.
Okay. Really?
We're just, we want to get footage. But really, it's a test of, behavior. And of course, the mother was very nervous, did the bluff, the pounding of the ground and the teeth clacking. But Lynn was pretty confident that a female black bear will never defend their cubs.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
He was confident.
Why did he think
it's just
that?
different than grizzlies. They're very different than grizzlies. There's never been a case, I guess, of a female black bear ever defending her cubs and hurting somebody or biting somebody. Just never happened.
Okay.
They have survived by operating on fear, similar to the way I think Bigfoots operate on.
Okay.
I mean, they have courage. They have their moments, just like black bears do.
Sure.
They'll get into mischief and they'll pound the ground, but they still don't really want a confrontation.
Right.
And black bears are very, they're one of the few animals you can actually tame as an adult because of their intelligence, because they have such high intelligence. The other one is a chipmunk. They're related to bears. You can actually tame an adult chipmunk as an adult because of its intelligence. But a black bear, you don't tame them. You just get them to ignore you. Does that make sense?
Sure.
They're just accepting you as not friend or foe. You're just there. You're part of the woodwork. And then you can walk with them. You can sleep with them at night, right next to them. They'll just ignore you pretty much. They're not looking to be petted. That's not part of the routine. You just kind of become part of their little thing. And I remember I was with this female and her cubs, and I remember her standing up on her hind legs, and she was giving me that look like, listen, shh, be quiet. You just see it in her eyes. Just don't talk. Don't move. So I stood there too and quiet froze. She froze. And you went there, and all of a sudden, finally, I can hear a car coming.
Wow.
And it's those kind of experiences that get you in this kind of little bit different mindset. You know what I mean? It's just, put your mind in a different spot. And then you're like, oh, okay, that's really cool. And to be accepted by a wild animal like that is not accepted, just ignored. I just say ignored, right?
Yeah, sure.
But then, I went on to wanting to, what goes on in a bear den when no one's around? What happens during hibernation when the cubs are born? How does she take care of them? They're hibernating. Do they crawl up blind and just find her teats and, feed when she's just ignoring them? So I wanted to put a camera and figure out how to put a camera in a bear den for the whole winter, which is not easy to do because what do you do for power?
Right.
So we just had to keep developing all these new technologies to, one, get the signal out, and two, have power. And we ended up filming the first, complete hibernation in the world's first birth of wild black bears.
Really?
Before that, I had invented a camera I called the Cub Probe, which is a whole bunch of articulating sticks that were like 40 feet long that you could slowly work under a bear in her den and get it under her from a safe distance.
Okay.
And it worked,
Wow.
I remember Lynn even going, that's never going to work. It's going to scare her. And my thought was, why would an inanimate object scare a bear? And he thought about that. I remember that. He thought about that for a while. Then he argued a little bit more. That's going to scare her. And I argued I really wanted this battle to be won because I'm filming for Animal Planet. And I said, think about it, Lynn. Why would a bear be afraid of a stick? And he really thought about it. And he goes, you might be right. The bear didn't care less about that.
Oh, that's so neat.
So that gives now biologists a way to film bears for forever without bothering them. It didn't bother. They could care less. It's the human or another animal that scares them.
Right.
Not a stick. They could care less if there were 20 sticks in there, they wouldn't care. Poking at them. They just don't care. Because why would they? And then I went on, I wanted to know what goes on in a beaver lodge. No one had ever, and I mean ever in history, ever seen what was in a wild beaver lodge over the whole winter. And I thought, this is another dimension. This to me is as good as peeking into the other side. Because for all we know, there's a little white ghost that lives in every beaver lodge. You know what I mean? You don't know.
Right.
If you don't know, you don't know. It's
can appreciate that.
It's the Schrodinger's cat situation. And so I've been the guy that wants to keep opening the basket to see how the cat's doing.
Gotcha.
Because that's what locks it in. And it took 2 years, maybe even 3 years to get that camera in that lodge because you have to chisel and chisel and chisel without disturbing this family of beavers. And you can only do it in the wintertime. You're not going to swim out there and stand on a unfrozen beaver lodge because it's maybe not strong enough. It would be bad to do it in the summer. So I waited for every winter. In fact, Mac Moneymaker helped me chisel one winter, took him all the way to Canada, around the Canadian border, and made him chisel too for a half an hour on that beaver lodge. I wonder if Matt even remembers that. Yeah. I remember his feet were frozen the time we got done.
Now, do you find a lot of beaver lodges where you're doing your cryptid research or your Bigfoot research?
Yeah, I mean, they're pretty common in Minnesota. We have a lot of water. But so we put the camera in, and the first thing we realized, I don't know if you know the end of the story, Mike, but there were muskrats in there living with the beavers. Really? And the muskrats were grooming the beavers multiple times a day, probably to get parasites out of their fur. We don't know the reason. It seemed like they were eating things out of the beaver fur. And then we thought, what else is going on in this relationship? The muskrats did all the bedding, 100% of the bedding. Beavers never did the bedding. The beavers worked on the roof and the sides. As the water level would rise, they would chew away at the roof. And as the water level would drop, they would start building it up again. It's really interesting. All the muskrats did was the ground and the bedding. And then one day we saw mink come in there and then killed one of the muskrats. Mm. And then we saw mice come into the lodge. Though it was just kind of nuts, all these animals kind of living in this lodge. We saw a new type of a bug that's white and blind. There's no eyes. And we didn't capture one of the bugs, but we filmed it. We filmed it numerous times.
Interesting.
And right before the mom beaver was going to have cubs, a wolf chewed through the camera cable, which was, half a mile of cable. Chewed through it, and we wanted to see if the muskrats would take care of the beavers. Oh, who knows?
Right. We had to do it again.
But there's a lesson.
Part two.
I mean, the whole part is really the lesson.
Yeah.
We don't know what we don't know. And we don't even know what we don't know.
Exactly.
What the ground tortoises, they use and as the hares use their nests or their tunnels or something like that for fires, or I think it's the other way around.
Yeah. About that, the bird that spreads fire, that goes around and sets the forest on fire.
But there's also they use I want to say it's the ground tortoise nests that some of the other animals will go into, when the fires are coming through. So that's really awesome.
Yeah. So you have the bird that somehow grabs these fire coals too and goes around and fires.
Wow. That's crazy.
I'll bet you we know, I'll venture to guess 1/8 of everything, that really goes on in the forest. Probably 1/8.
That might not be a bad thing either. I mean, it is good to learn and to know, but sometimes we got to be careful what we ask for and wish for too, right?
No, that's true.
Now you switched gears and went from terrestrial to the ocean and went looking for the giant squid.
Yeah. Water has always fascinated me. When I was a little kid, my dad took me to, I think it was Lake Superior, and I saw a man reeling in his minnow. And I had never seen anybody ever fish. My dad wasn't a fisherman. And I think I yelled really loud and embarrassed him that he got a big one or something. That was my first glimpse in the underwater, world, and it stuck with me. I was literally obsessed with what's under the water. When I was a kid, I was building periscopes, and because I kept wanting to look underwater. Eventually, and before I did the squid, I built kind of a research platform for Discovery Channel called the Benthic Explorer, which had tons of scientific instruments to measure things that had never been measured, including underwater current called SAISH, that is the tide in a freshwater lake like Lake Superior. No one had ever seen how that affects the animals, all the copepods, the small animals, the food chain. And I figured out ways to photograph all of it and developed special lighting, the first multi-frequency lighting that had ever been used, which is now, for instance, used by Mercedes-Benz for their dome light. So you can see better.
Wow.
So what kind of car do you drive then with all these car innovations?
I drive a Jeep.
Yeah.
There you go.
Your regular old Jeep Wrangler.
That's the way to go.
There you go.
That's
fantastic.
So it just, one thing leads to another. Well, Discovery had asked me to be a cameraman on what they call an exploratory shoot to see if there's anything to this story. And it was just on Humboldt Squid called Rojo Diablo, meaning Red Devil. Just to basically go film and document how aggressive they are. Right. And so I was just a camera guy. And I never turn an adventure down. Guy calls me, hey, you want to go? Yeah, I'm gone. So we go. But I snuck in. I remember getting a bunch of wrapping paper, Christmas wrapping paper. And I took my scissors and I made these giant twister tails. Do you know what those are, Mike or Christy?
Yeah.
Remember bass fish? And you use those grubs, with the tail that swims.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, I basically cut these grub tails with Christmas paper, waterproof Mylar Christmas paper.
Wow.
And I wrapped it around my camera, underwater camera, and I had 1,000 feet of cable, Kevlar coated cable, put it all in there and stuffed it in the Pelican case and snuck it to Mexico on Discovery's dime. Because that wasn't what I was down there for. But I wanted to see if there were any giant Humboldt squids, right? That had gotten out of their niche like those trout. I always had a theory that if they don't breed, they're going to live. They could live indefinitely versus 2 years. They could live 40 years if they never breed. So, a lot of invertebrates die very quickly. Octopuses, they live 2-3 years and they're dead. They breed and they die. Squid, they breed and they die.
Wow.
And I thought, well, I'm going to see if there's any big Humboldts, like giant Humboldts. So I lowered it way down, and the boats was moving really slow, and I thought, oh, this is my opportunity. And I snuck it over the gun rail, and I tied off my cable. I had probably 750 feet out. The captain didn't know, nobody knew. And all of a sudden, my cable just snapped and got ripped off the gunwale. 600-pound cable just gone. It was gone. The camera's gone. Everything's gone. I got some shredded cable. But I thought, oh crap! I was recording. whatever hit my camera.
Right.
So I look at the film. Oh, and there's a big sucker just hit the lens. That's all I saw. And you could see a big chitin hook, one of their big hooks they have near their suckers. And I went, bingo. Okay, I know what I'm going to do in the future. And that's what happened. And eventually I got the money and the funding from history.
Wow.
Of course, everybody thinks you're nuts, and they're rolling their eyes, and everybody was. They're all laughing behind my back. And, we ended up getting lucky, and we got, we did the Trojan, put a camera system on a squid. That was my goal.
Really?
Yep. Basically fishing, because, guys like Clyde Roper and Smithsonian and a lot of these places did spend a lot of money trying to get, with ROVs.
Right.
And other technology. And it just, I was, they're just going to flee. But if you can have a nice camera system and have a squid 1,000 feet down and he's swimming,
exactly.
I had a theory that the littler squid would swim up and down the water column vertically, migrate up and down the vertical, but the big ones would just lay at the bottom.
Okay.
And just cannibalize the small ones that are going up to the top to get the nutrients. So they don't need to. And then I realized, and I had once again, still a theory, that once they get so big, they can't even come to the surface. Because I think they basically turn into a bottle of Windex ammonia.
Okay.
And they'll never be able to get back down again. Their ammonia bubbles out of their blood.
Ooh.
There's no way they can even they would die. So they have to stay down.
Right.
And they just cannibalize all the dudes that are going up and down the water column like a conveyor belt.
Wow.
And that was my theory. And it worked. But doesn't mean it'll work again, because we tried it again next year. We got a bunch of money, tried it again, failed. Discovery and some other networks tried to copy using some of my team members to do it again. They failed. And who knows? Who knows?
Oh, wow.
Well, you said you're fishing, some days you catch them,
right.
Some days you don't.
Yeah, but it worked.
Wow.
Where do you find your inspiration for some of this technology? Is it meditation kind of just come to you, or just I need to get an answer?
Probably some of that. I always tell people, some people will, they'll point blank, they'll go, well, why are you successful? Or why? And I go, well, one, I try to remember how I got there. That makes any sense?
Absolutely.
Yep. Remember your roots.
Most people. Something seems familiar when you think about something, but you got to then say, well, what is that familiar memory? Then you try to reverse engineer it and then try to figure out why you're getting that deja vu. Because I was interested in giant squid since I was a little kid, but I don't even know why.
Right.
We don't have them in the Great Lakes.
No, and it may have been, I saw, but it may have been some article I read. But I remember, bragging that I was going to get pictures of the giant squid when I was, 9. Which is kind of weird.
Right into your mission.
We're a weird kid. My poor parents. You know what I mean? I know I drove them nuts. But the inspiration just comes from being curious, really curious. And I really encourage everybody to take your curiosity, if it's something wholesome and safe, and an interest or wondering about something, and try to make it a reality to satisfy that curiosity. Yeah. There's so many things. I've got a lot more things I want to do. Probably won't be able to just because of my age, but I hope to get some more things done. Hope to.
Oh, something tells me that you have a long way to go and a lot more to do.
Yeah, I think about it and I go, oh my God, in 20 years, I'm in my 80s. 20 years goes by like that.
Hey, but you know what? You might be the hippest 80-year-old out there still kicking butt and taking names.
Yeah,
and I behave myself. Did you like that?
It could
No
happen.
ticker.
But I figure that, with all sometimes the crazy adventures that we do, I'm almost like, I feel fortunate to be here now,
Yeah, that's good though.
I got a lot of people that will never travel with me ever again. They go once and that's the end of it.
Oh,
they go, I'm never going with you again.
Because the experience was just so wonderful they
come back and they realize we almost died numerous times.
I was just going to
Experience of a lifetime. I get it.
No, I've never been on a trip where I almost died 3 times.
We have to go on a trip with you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's throw the quick break, and we're going to come back to why those things happen. So, guys, we're going to do a quick commercial. Please like, share, subscribe, hit those buttons, get the word out there. Like I said, I know Facebook's throwing, YouTube are throwing slow notifications tonight.
Yeah.
So, quick break, run, grab your glass of water, feed a dog, whatever you got to do quick, and come right back.
WLFE-DB.com, where you can find vodcast shows, podcasts, and more, like Where's My Sage, Inside the Drag Closet, Across the Pond, Paratalk Radio, Just Cindy, and more. So go check out WLFE-DB.com, where talk radio is a whole lot better. Our shows are your shows, and that there makes for a great talk radio.
Hey guys and dolls, this is Casey DeVille, the better half of DeVille Inc., Baltimore, Maryland. If you're ever in Baltimore, stop in and see me and Tony. Invisible Brie, 5920 Eastern Avenue, Baltimore, Maryland, 21224. Give us a call if you're in the area at 410-400-9641, or look us up on the web at DeVilleInc.com. DeVille Inc., where we specialize in you.
Ted Van Son Jr. is a seasoned investigator and well-versed in the ways of paranormal investigation. He is now ready to share his ideas and unique approach with all of you. Flashlight, recorder, and comfortable shoes. Hit the ground running as you follow this easy step-by-step guide to a fun and thorough paranormal investigation, perfect for first-time and lightly seasoned investigators. Think outside the paranormal box. Learn all about the technology and techniques used back in the early days of paranormal investigation. You can find these valuable resources online at Goodreads, Barnes & Noble, Walmart, and Amazon. Get yours today.
Hi, I'm Jenna Grover. In the world of fashion, we get lost in the cost. Everyone wants that special piece of quality jewelry, but they can't afford it. Not on my watch. I sell handmade quality jewelry for a fraction of the price, and that includes jewelry made of sea glass, natural stone, crystal beads, glass beads, Bigfoot jewelry, and more. If you don't see what you want, email me, because I make custom jewelry too. Check out my website at gbythesea.com. Also, you can email me at jewelry@gbythesea.com.
You're listening to WLFE DB Radio. Now, back to our program.
And welcome back, folks, to Where's My Sage? We're here with the wonderful Doug Hajicek joining us tonight. And so, Doug, why do you say people are afraid to go travel with you? Are you in a lot of plane crashes, boat crashes? And okay.
Yep. Storms. Even the last one we took, friend of mine, okay, 2 of my friends came. One guy split his head open and then fell in the lake on a wing of an aircraft during an emergency landing, or after we had done an emergency landing. And then some guy was ready to start shooting at us because we went into an abandoned hotel in the middle of nowhere that was half built.
Was his name Ray? I'm just.
It was like The Shining. He's coming by boat, and he's got the shotgun, and the pilot says, "We're out of here," and he took off. But then the plane almost crashed again because the pilot. I stole a roll of paper towels from that abandoned hotel, and I told everybody. I said, this could save our life. I gave it to a vet. I said. She's like, well, why don't we want this? I said, because it could save her life. So we're literally heading right for the trees on takeoff on this float plane. And Chuck starts screaming, the pilot, I can't see. Somebody give me something right now. And we got the paper towel, and he took the whole roll and swiped it across the window and just barely made it over the trees. Keep this in mind. This was already after emergency landing. And then we got back and we did land safely. And he said, I didn't think a plane could go that fast. because we were trying to beat the ceiling, was lowering and lowering.
Oh.
And you can't go past into the clouds with a float plane. It's instrument. It's not non-instrument flying.
Okay.
It's
line of sight
flight rules only. And
Wow.
so if the ceiling comes down, you have to land, and which is why we had to do the emergency landing. I mean, literally the tops of the trees were smacking the plane when we did that landing. Well, that was just one trip. I could tell you about many, many more. But yeah, I've been in many slight walk-away plane crashes. Yeah. Well, when you're landing on sand eskers in World War II planes and doing weird, trips into remote areas. And then there was one trip I was up in the Arctic, and the pilot came out and he looked like he was 12. He made the landing, but he barely survived.
His first solo flight.
I'm having breakfast in the tent. And this pilot looked like he was 12, and he comes up to me and he goes, "Can you take a walk with me?" And I said, "Sure." And he didn't want anybody else to hear him, So we went outside and we took a long walk. And he said, "What the hell would you do to get out of here?" And, and I'm looking at the wind and, I'm checking everything. And I said, "We're going that way." And he said, "Okay." And we loaded everybody up, and the pilot took my advice and we got out of there. But once again, barely, you just barely smacking the trees.
Oh my gosh.
So, but
wow. Yeah, I don't know.
There's just been so many that, yeah. I want to write a book someday, but I don't know if I have the patience to sit down that long and write one.
Right.
So what's the coolest location you've been to?
Coolest location? It's been all over Mexico and some really remote places there that are really amazing that you got back. When you're getting guns stuck up your neck and you end up, in the possession of the military because they think you're a drug dealer, when all you want to do is just film some bass. And you stay in these little towns where people scream and run when they see you, because they never seen a tourist in their life.
Oh my gosh.
We've done a lot of caving and spelunking in Belize. That actually, I guess in thinking back, that was pretty amazing. We did 10 days of spelunking in Belize.
What's spelunking?
Just basically caving, exploring caves.
Oh, okay.
But we literally,
that would be fun.
Yeah, we literally machete our way in through the jungle. And I was with the Prime Minister of Archaeology in Belize. And I got to go and actually had to be the first one to go into these water caves where you're wading up to water up to your neck. And there's literally stalagmites down below, razor sharp. And you're going to be walking for 8 hours in this stuff. And
maybe it doesn't sound like so much fun after all.
You're covered with leeches. You just waded through a piranha-filled river. And you got to carry a bunch of gear because I got the camera. I got to keep my camera dry.
That's all you, Mike.
And you've got a special forces guy behind you reminding you that if you break your leg, that it'll take us 3 days to get you out of here. So don't break your leg.
Okay.
And, it's just, and you do that every day. And then you end up in the back of a cave and you shine your flashlight and you see assassin bugs all over the wall. And then the Prime Minister is going, "I think we have to stay here we have to stay overnight. You have no provision because we can't hike out of this cave. And we'll be hiking through the jungle at 4 a.m. in the morning." And I'm like, "No, we're leaving."
Yeah.
You stay up all night getting out of the cave and then the rest of the night hiking through the jungle. Those are
union hours.
Because you don't want to be stung by assassin bugs while you're sleeping. They're long needles and they suck your blood. They're horrible. And you get big giant welts.
Yeah. No, thank
I'm
you.
tough, but I'm not that tough.
I'm good with stories. I'll enjoy your stories. It's all good.
We got a team member, Ray. We'll do that. He's already.
Yeah.
I'm going to move because probably like you guys, you got the sun setting.
Yeah.
I happen to have two windows and they're angled from each other and they come in like a prism.
Oh,
and of course,
very cool, but not
up like an idiot right in the prism.
Oh,
literally, there we go.
I'm
trying to stay out of the beam. I've been literally put my hair on fire. Here we go. I'm out of the beam. So there's the beam I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So just out of curiosity though, if you were to write a book, what would you want to write about most?
I would start at the very beginning of my awareness, some of the early paranormal experiences I had as a pretty young kid.
Let's talk about that.
Well, my mom used to always tell me, she said, you were born with a damn worried look on your face. She said, we'd find you on the couch. You're 2 years old. You're sitting on the couch in the dark, and you're just thinking. She said, we're just like, he said, the look on your face would be just priceless. You just look like you were in deep thought.
Really?
And, she would tell me these stories, but God knows why I was on the couch. See, that's my point. I don't know why. But things would happen like, I remember my first paranormal experience that I couldn't explain. Maybe it wasn't paranormal, but I couldn't explain it. I was in my bedroom. I'm probably about 8 years old, and I'm building a little car model. Mike, you've probably done a few of those.
A few?
Christy, probably haven't, but we'd glue these goofy plastic car models together with glue all over our hands and usually wreck the model we were building. And I had to go to the bathroom. And so I get up and I run to our one bathroom in our home, knock on the door, and I hear a man's voice go, I'll be out in a minute. And all of a sudden, I hear the doorknob click and the door opens and there's nobody in there.
Wow.
And so that, of course, caused me to run the other direction, fall down the stairs, because my parents were actually in the basement. They were measuring up to film or to finish the basement. And so those things kind of are life-changing, even at a young age. Because you're like, man talked to me, he opened the door, and there was nobody in the bathroom. And you hear the doorknob click, you hear the unlocking, you hear everything, but there's nobody in there. That was life-changing. And then there was the next thing was probably just a year later or so. Me and my sister were finally left at home alone.
Mm-hmm.
Parents went out to what they told us was a nightclub. So they're out, it's great. Like, oh, nightclub, what's that? I want to go. And anyhow, so we had cleaned the whole house to surprise my parents.
Aww.
So we're being sweet, vacuumed, did the floors, mopped, everything. And we're sitting at the table, we're going to have a snack, and we smell sulfur. Like we smell sulfur smoke, like somebody's lit a bunch of matches.
Mm-hmm.
And we were concerned. Literally a neighbor home had just burned down, before that, and the whole family died. So we were very afraid of fire. And so we checked the whole house, couldn't find any smoke or smell. And the smell would transit in front of me and then in front of her and then in front of me. But never could both of us smell it at the same time. Mm-hmm. So we go down the stairs, and I'm first, of course. And I go down the stairs looking for fire. And here's what was really weird. We did see fire. A fireball shot across the room in front of us, which was an unfinished basement with sparks coming off the back end, and then hit the wall, hit the concrete wall, and sparks dropped to the bottom as if it had penetrated the wall.
Wow.
And another one came and hit the wall and did the same thing. Right?
Yeah.
And so that, of course, your parents come home and you tell them that story. They really believed us. But it was nice having a witness. I knew it had happened. I knew the smells were real, that we were not just not investigating nothing. The smell was real. And I find it interesting later on in life, you hear sulfurs associated with paranormal.
Yeah.
You didn't know that.
Yeah, for sure.
No idea.
But
go ahead. Oh,
I just as you're talking about it, I feel like they had 3 kids, but 2 are highlighted to me or stick out to me. The family that passed in the fire. So they had 3.
I believe so. Yeah, it was 3, and all 3 died, and we got them all laid on the front yard with blankets over them. Yeah.
And I feel like they had a son. They had at least one son.
Yep.
And I feel like as you're talking, I can see the boy. I feel like that was the boy, because you're right. In the paranormal, a lot of times when you smell sulfur, it's not a good sign. But there can also be other explanations, like somebody burned matches. Did they ever? Because I actually feel like matches might have played a part in how or why that house burned down. Did they ever figure out why?
Yeah, it was a party. Somebody had left they determined somebody had put a cigarette out, dumped an ashtray in the garbage.
Thank you.
Too early. Yep.
Thank you. Yeah. I feel like it was the little boy or the neighbor's son. I don't know if he was little, but probably close to your age, maybe a little younger at the time.
And then there was the neighbors across the street from them shortly after the mom or the dad and the son died in a floatplane accident where they had flipped over. And so when I was young, I had lost already, 2 friends. By the time I was 9 years old, I had lost 2 good friends of mine.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. My Wi-Fi cut out again and you guys froze and I lost the screens again. It keeps happening for some reason. So I apologize. I missed a bunch of the stories, but
I had to go to backup internet.
That's okay. I'm just trying to stay out of the killer beam here. Here we go.
So have you done any specials on the paranormal?
Well, I mean, we did, I did a show on ghosts, an hour special on ghosts for Monster Quest. Did one on the Flatwoods Monster. But generally, no, I haven't done anything. I think it would be really interesting.
And with your camera systems, you're playing with every light spectrum out there.
Yeah.
Are you picking up different anomalies on your cameras that you can't explain?
No, I don't need to. I can see them with my eyes.
Okay.
I've always,
even better.
Yeah, I've always been quite lucky and seen, pretty amazing things. Not all the time.
Like what?
Oh my goodness.
What?
You're in her realm now, so I'm gonna.
So me and Yvette have seen. The last thing we saw was 2 pink UFOs that were Pepto-Bismol pink, or orbs, whatever you want to call them, very bright, on the parkway out here. They came right to our car, and then one zipped off and one blinked out. So that just gives you an example. I mean, we've seen winged creatures diving at our car to the point where, giant winged creatures where we're ducking. You ever tried to duck in a Corvette? It's not easy.
You're already laying flat.
Yeah, I have a Jeep. Okay, Mike, I have a Jeep and a Corvette. Okay.
Wow.
But if you ever had a duck in a Corvette, because we were driving near Moose Lake, Minnesota, and we're coming back, beautiful night, not a cloud in the sky, beautiful. You can see all the stars. There was a song on the radio I remember was the song Vincent by Ed McLean. Or no, not Ed McLean. Don McLean. There's a song called Vincent.
Okay.
And that was playing on the radio. And we see this thing drop down from moon level. And we could see it was like a flat object, like with wings, but it dropped straight down like it dropped on a spider web, straight down with its wings open, and then headed right for our car. And came within inches of the windshield. As it got closer, I mean, she ducked before I did. And then I ducked, of course, because I thought it was coming right through the windshield.
Right.
The wingspan was, wider than the freeway.
Wow.
So what was it? I have no idea. But there's some interesting things out there.
Yeah.
And why did we get to see it? Well, one of the interesting things I found is that I had refused to do a Mothman episode. Because there's no evidence. There was nothing.
Yeah.
And well, how am I going to fill an hour with nothing? It didn't work with our science formula. Okay. So I didn't want to do it. And then that happened and I'm like, I'm on it. And I was on it, and I found witnesses right here in Minnesota that had, the same thing happened. In fact, like the exact same thing, literally on the same road. If you just take the same road we were on and just go south, that follows the St. Croix and the Mississippi River.
Wow.
They had the same experience, swooped at their car, said they pulled over like we did too. But they got sick and we didn't. They were throwing up apparently.
Yikes.
Yeah.
You're lucky.
Is there traditional lore of something in that area?
No.
Okay.
No, other than there was one scene on 35W Bridge before it went down.
Okay.
Nobody ever talks about that. There was a really good eyewitness that saw one land on the 35W Bridge, where all those people were killed because our bridge collapsed. And I had just driven over it. That's awful. It was the day before I drove over that bridge. And it collapsed. I don't know how many. I don't remember how many people, but a lot died.
So there's a creature in history in our area, traditional in our area. It's the flying head, but the stories go with the tribes here. But if you follow some of those folks where they ended up going, particularly one leader ends up in Point Pleasant, West Virginia.
Oh, okay.
So we've been kind of looking at that native lore, and it kind of goes with the stone giants, but it's the history of the county that we've been working with for the last couple of years, and it's been kind of interesting to take some of those native records and point them towards the historical accounts, and then where those folks that are in those accounts have ended up other places in the country.
Well, I mean, the history of winged humanoid type creatures goes back.
Right.
The first written word. Yeah. Right, even to the Bible, the angels and who knows what. Whatever it was, really definitely wanted to send us a message. It got a kick out of swooping at us because we didn't die. So what was the purpose other than to startle us?
Pay attention to me.
Pay attention. Yeah. Yep, and we did. I did.
Wow.
I did a show, and I was surprised at all the people we found in this area.
Wow.
That had seen it. And then, of course, we did the Point Pleasant witnesses too. But what we saw, it was not covered with feathers. It had kind of shiny bat-like looking wings and a shiny face, pointed ears and everything.
Okay.
Yeah,
interesting.
Let's put it this way. Christy, if I hadn't had somebody in the car with me, I would have certainly went and committed myself. You just, because that's
I believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I believe it.
If we have winged humanoid type creatures roaming around in the woods, because it was a very heavily wooded area, that can fly up high, come down and attack people, all of us should just stay in our homes and never go outside.
Seriously, I agree. What's that one movie that's just like that, right? Shoot, what is it? Where the big giant things come down and they're all big giant insects, and that's exactly what happens. They're all. But so what do you think about then? I have to just quick say, hi, Grandma. My grandma's on right now. What do you think about the different creatures and things? Jumping planes, being able to cross, and travel through the different planes of the universe.
Could be where they reside, obviously. I just can't picture the thing that we saw. Mm-hmm. Just, hanging out and landing, eating blueberries.
I agree.
Grabbing raccoons and eating them or whatever. Swallowing. Right. I don't know for sure.
Right.
But yeah, it would make more sense if they were an alien or a dimensional animal.
Right.
But then again, you also think, well, if it's a dimensional animal, did it know it was in our dimension?
Right.
Do we know if we're in some other, or did we cross into its dimension?
Right. Or maybe we'll say, for lack of a better way to say it, just to keep it simple, two balls of the right kind of energy on both sides happen to collide and boom, you met. And that's just that instantaneous, that happening. I mean, who knows, right?
It's just weird.
Yeah.
When you see something like that, and we didn't tell anybody, because I'm the Monster Quest guy. Who am I going to tell?
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh, okay, trying to promote your show, are you? I figured I at least would wait, 10, 12 years before I told anybody, which I did.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes these experiences are just meant for us too, and we're allowed to keep certain things just for ourselves.
Yep. Or you can go on what some people say, you both were hallucinating.
Yeah.
That maybe that can happen too, both at the same time.
But seeing the same thing.
Right.
But you do see a lot of weird stuff, but the interesting part is it doesn't happen like every week or every year. It's just all of a sudden you're caught off guard and bam, something weird will just completely floor you. We've seen, like we had a black orb. We were out suntanning on the deck, and you just figure you're just going to be out there just having a cold beer, and you're on the deck and you're just laying in the sun, getting vitamin D and enjoying the beautiful day. You don't expect an orb to attack you.
Oh, no, you don't.
No,
no, you don't.
She's watching this black thing go around our tree. She says, well, the neighbors, there was a kind of an awning where the neighbors were. They had a few people over, and she thought, oh, it's a black balloon.
Uh-huh.
No big deal. But then she sees it go around the tree again. And she's like, yeah, there's no string. There's no, you know what I mean? Like a balloon. Yep. And then she didn't say anything to me yet until it approached my head.
Oh,
it's right.
She waited.
It's right by my head. There's a railing on the deck, and it was right above the railing. And she's like doing the and her going, what? And it was like, So I turn around and look, and there's this black. It's like an orb, and it's changing shape.
How big was it?
Probably, for me, beach ball size.
Wow.
And it's changing shape into kind of an oval and then a diamond, and it's breathing, and it's got like this textured skin on it. Yeah. And it's the blackest thing I've ever seen. She said the same thing. I've never seen anything that black. And of course, I reach over in the little table we have between us, our lawn chairs, and I grab my camera kind of nonchalantly, put it on, real cool, talking, is it still there? Yep. I'm getting my camera ready, and I swing my camera up, and it, boosh, shot up to the clouds. And I did get footage on its way up to the clouds. And I do have some really good footage.
Do you?
Yeah.
We'd love to see that.
Yeah, I can do that, and you can post it if you have somewhere you post it up.
Yeah.
And then there was another time, daytime again. We had a great day. We were out bass fishing on our electric pontoon. Just one of the better days we've ever had fishing, and it ended it with a giant bass. I'm pulling into the dock, and she starts screaming. And I don't know where to look. When vets start screaming, I never know where to look. It could be something on my leg, for all I know. Well, and she points, and I look in the yard, and there's all these white shimmering. They were beautiful. They were shimmering like whitish balls, but they all were moving. Then they would turn black, and then they would all disappear. Then they would all appear again, dimensional. Or who knows what. And of course, right away, your mind's going flock of birds. But then I'm like, oh, flocks of birds don't. One, we don't have any white birds and that fly in flocks. But two, you could see how big they were. They were just balls.
Yeah.
Balls would be the best way I could describe them. But the shimmering was just beautiful. It's otherworldly. I'm filming this up close, 50 feet away. And we're just floating right outside the dock. And they're all over the yard, all over the roof. Hundreds of them.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, I've now got the best footage. Jeez, I'm getting blinded. I've got the best footage in the entire, better than anything I've ever seen, because it's close up, right?
Right.
And so finally I said, Yvette, get your phone out. And so she starts filming, but they're moving away now. Now they're over the neighbor's roof. They've all decided to move off. So she started filming. And she's like, oh, I don't even know if my camera's on. Because, the sun's in your eyes. And she's just kind of aiming it.
Right.
So finally they went off. It's like, I'm really anxious to get in the house to look at my footage. Get in the house, my phone's dead. So I plug it in, thinking, well, the battery died. I knew I could see it was on when I was filming. Battery's dead. So I plug it in. I wait. Doesn't come on. We checked hers. She did get footage, but not this. Oh my God! I mean, you can see them shimmering and moving and disappearing on hers.
Right.
But guys, I was 50 feet away from these things in broad daylight. Have you guys ever seen footage like that?
No.
I don't think it exists. So I said, get in the car. We're going to the Sprint store. So we hop in the Jeep, get up to the Sprint store. I tell these poor 2 teenage technicians my story. I said, you got to get this footage off of here. And they were pretty motivated because they wanted to see it. So they're in the back room and they go, oh, dude, your phone's a brick. Like, what do you mean?
Surprised.
He said, we can't get any electricity even through it.
Yep.
So I said, well, that's not good. Can they still get the footage off? Is there a SIMS card? He said, I don't know. He said, we can't get it, but they give me a number to another guy. We go over there. He has it for a while and he comes back. Your phone's a brick. I get it back. I throw it in my toolbox. But then all of our low voltage burned out in our home. All the HDMI ports and all of our TVs burned out. All the vacuum, thermostats, everything burned out. Yep. So.
Wow.
Then my boat, of course, burned out too. The controller in the boat. All the 12-volt batteries in the boat burned out. Everything.
Jeez.
That whole little orb thing, it was a nice $10,000 bill on that. And then, of course, had to buy a new phone too.
Do you have a lot of crystal or magnetic rock in your soil?
I don't know. We live on a whole chain of man-made lakes.
Okay.
And I don't know. It's a lot of sand, which is pretty much, if you look at it under a microscope, it's pretty much a lot of ground quartz up here. Then silica, which is, made from, old ocean. It probably was underwater at one point, ocean shells. But there's a lot of silica. But I've always wondered if there isn't activity here because of the man-made lakes, that isn't puzzling if there's, orbs from other, whatever, scout things or little research orbs, that they're confused by our lakes.
Right.
Well, the other thing, that tree that thing was going around, I went, I'm going to go inspect that tree. Somebody said, why did it go around that tree twice? I go in there and there was a parasitic tree growing in the pine tree. It had wrapped its way around. There was a parasitic maple tree in there. And I thought, I wonder if that's why it was in there. I don't know. I'm just looking for answers. But the best thing that happened is those white orbs, back to the white orbs again, they were swirling around our maple tree. Literally 2 days later, there were 2 antenna-like branches, right, that came up. This is towards the end of summer, sprouted up with one little leaf on that were 12 foot tall. Within 2 days, those grew. And I took photos of those long branches with the little leaves, one little leaf on top, 12 foot tall.
How long have you lived there?
12 years about.
What are you picking up on?
I feel like, what's that?
That's right. I can get answers.
I feel like are you in like a cul-de-sac kind of a neighborhood with houses around a pond and things like that?
Yeah. I mean, there are a bunch of man-made. Yeah, we're on a cul-de-sac.
Okay. I feel like your houses are built on some sort of ancient burial ground, and that's why you have the activity you do.
Could be.
And I feel like it's a Native American, burial ground.
Okay. There's been a lot of activity at this location.
Yeah, and I also feel like there were people who were buried there who were supposed to be moved but weren't, but were told were moved, but they're still there.
Sorry.
I mean, it's very much like a poltergeist, the movie Poltergeist kind of a situation. But I think more than not, it's more the ancient burial. Yeah. I'll bet you if you did some digging, you might find something to point in that direction?
Well, I did do a lot of research in the area, and I definitely know north of us they found the oldest civilization in Minnesota. I can't remember the name of the tribe. It's really ancient.
Wow.
And they've actually set aside some of the mounds. And they're probably 5 miles from where we are, these ancient mounds. But they're ancient. They're before the Chippewa, Ojibwe were here.
Yeah, there. Yep.
Really,
yes, sir.
Yep, thousands of years.
The Aegean. No, I might be even.
I'm not feeling so good all of a sudden.
What's wrong?
Take your notes.
The more we're talking, the more I'm sorry. Like I kept getting stomach pain. I'm feeling like I'm getting a headache. It's making me feel sick to my stomach, and it's not the shot because I'm definitely struggling with focus from the shot today. But yeah, no, this came out of nowhere. This is because we're talking about some pretty heavy stuff as far as where you live and what you're on.
It's interesting.
You're at a crossroads is what I'm being shown. I'm being shown you're where you live, it's something about the land and it goes like this. And it's real ancient. And actually I feel like what I'm being shown.
She's taking notes is what she's doing now, Doug. And then watch the lights behind her.
So
I think I need a shot of whiskey.
You
may when you get done with this.
So I actually see something that would look like a Neanderthal or Bigfoot. And this is all I can get, going this way, migrating almost this way and coming back this way. But when they come back, they're carrying stuff.
Like that sling bag I showed you?
Kind of, but it's like, but like it would be something like a bag on a stick or a bag or something to carry. Like, and you're talking way back, but you still, the energy and it's a true energy crossroads that you live in. And the fact that that is a burial ground and a cemetery and just a burial area that heightens everything. It's like you're living in a vortex, to be honest with you. That's what I feel.
We have many Bigfoot sightings within 3 miles from here, where we live, because there's all these huge lakes that are uninhabited, but they're all eutrophicated. They're very old. They're like swamps, slough lakes. I mean, they're big, but they're.
What I'm being told is you're in their way.
Yeah. Oh, I could imagine that. Yeah.
Yeah, you're in their way.
Yeah. We've had a lot of interesting things left on our sidewalk and driveway, like dead bird every day with the head ripped off every day, same spot.
What happened to your shed door? Your shed door or your garage door? What happened? Because they swing open. So what happened to it? It's like it got ripped off.
No, we don't. Well, we have had interesting incidents with the garage.
Okay, the garage.
So one night, the night I told you about the black orb, right? Well, that same night, we're in the garage and I've got a big screen TV out there. It's kind of finished like a house, right? So I can do all my work out there and have it comfortable.
Yeah.
And we're watching TV. I was kind of taking a break, sitting in the chair. And all of a sudden there was this yellow flashing light on the wall. It's just, and I go, why is there a tow truck in our driveway? Because our windows are opaqued out and, and they go, and she goes, oh, just open the door. So she hit the garage door opener, it opens, there's nothing out there. So shut the door again. The moment the door is shut, we hear a whistling sound. And it's like right out of one of the Roadrunner cartoons.
Right.
When the rockets dropped and you hear the whistling. You hear this whistling sound coming closer and closer to the house. And all of a sudden, boom, on the roof. And then we hear running on the roof from the one side to the other side. And she says, to open the door. And I'm like, are you kidding? I'm not opening. And I just, at the end of that, I said, this is a weird day. So I wait till the next morning, and I happened to have my car parked out in the driveway, had just been washed, and it was parked out in the driveway right next to the garage door. And the next morning, it's covered with what looks like digested sawdust or cellulose, unnutritious white sawdust. Like if you were to eat a bunch of sawdust and then vomit, let it sit in your stomach acid and then vomit it all over. It was all over my hood. It was sprayed into my grill. It was all over the driveway. I've got photos of it. It's really an interesting photos. And I collected some, of course, in a bag, and called my buddy who does gas chromatograph, stuff, and I wanted to know what it was. I told him, I said, it looks like vomit, but only like if you ate sawdust and vomited it out. Right. And it was kind of this white color. Anyhow, so Joe comes over to grab it to get it up to AW Research, and the bag is gone. And I had then taken my car, I collected it, tons of it, then went because it was embarrassing looking.
Right.
And Joe goes, well, where's the bag? I said, I stuffed it right there on my daughter's ATV on the running board. I didn't want it on my desk. We've never found it. Never seen it, never found it.
Well, the shed that I'm being shown looks to be like white blue and probably has white. The doors swing open.
When I grew up, there was a shed like that.
It's almost like there was a crisscross,
there was a
next
crisscross
in each,
on the
and then it. Okay, thank you.
It looked like this. It had the crisscross doors. It was board white. And what kind of roof did it have? It had a flat roof.
There you go. That's my drawing.
You got to show me that one more time, Christy. My dad built that shed, and it was right next to our house. It was built into a courtyard in our patio. Yeah, that's our shed growing up. There. Yeah, my father built that shed.
And just so you know, Mike, this is what you're hearing the whole, because I can see every time I start. His face gets like, what am I hearing? What is that noise? What's going on?
Oh no,
I wasn't going to tell him till after.
I still haven't got the good headphones working yet. I don't know what's going on with that stupid port on my computer. That's why I'm stuck with my.
But if you're standing in front of the shed, the right side door, I feel like it would come off, or it was pulled down or pulled off.
Yeah, we had that exact problem once.
From the top too. It's almost like it hung, but the bottom hinge was okay, and the top one was okay. Thank you.
Ripped away. Yep.
So you know what? Your father's passed, right?
Yes. Yep.
Then that's your father coming through to show you something like that.
Yeah,
to let you know he's here, since he's the one who built it.
He built that shed. He was damn proud of it too, because it was part of our courtyard. He incorporated the shed and into the patio fence, so that was our courtyard. That's where we stored all of our bikes and all of our stuff.
Yeah.
And I would spend time on the shed when I was young, watching the stars all night.
Oh, that's so neat.
It was a perfect thing, yeah.
That's so neat. Who's Robert?
It's my brother.
Thank you. That's your dad validating that it's him.
Yep. Yeah.
But he also says, sorry, I didn't expect to give you a reading, so I hope you don't mind that you're getting one. Your dad says to tell your brother to stop running his mouth.
Oh, okay.
That makes sense. We're gonna call your brother out right on,
No,
line.
actually, brother talks a lot. It's hard to get a word in edgewise with him. Said that. Only because he has a lot to say, but he's a sweetie. He's my younger brother.
Aww.
He's a sweetheart. Nice. He does like to talk. Oh. In fact, I'd mentioned that to somebody. It's like, oh my God, Rob really is talkative.
Yeah. That's awesome. Oh my goodness. All right. So there you go. Your dad's around.
No, I never figured he wasn't. There's no way that guy would ever. He was, he was the greatest father ever, because he never judged anybody.
Mm.
He would completely ignore you until you asked him for his help or his guidance. he would spend the whole day teaching you whatever you guys. But until that, he just did his thing, because he had a lot of, he had to do his work and, all the housework and he worked all day long, he had his own business but man, he was a great dad because he was definitely my best friend after I grew up and got my license and moved out. He, without any doubt, he was my best friend. Yep.
That's amazing.
Yeah, he was awesome. Yep.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yep, and it's hard when you meet new people and you go, I don't want to introduce you to my dad, and then he's gone.
Yeah,
it's hard.
It is. Yep. Yes, it is. So I know it's almost that time. Yeah, can't believe it. Oh my goodness!
Just do it again. There's plenty more to talk about whenever.
Awesome.
Oh yes.
We would love to have you back. I know you have so many experiences and so much knowledge, and you've done so much that we definitely need to have you back.
Yeah, no, I'd love to.
For sure. Oh, that'd be wonderful.
Good therapy.
It is good. Oh, good. We didn't scare him away. That's because I'm a little low key tonight. I'm not my my normal self. So anything
I can tell you this. I can tell you this, Christy. There's no way in the world that you would ever known about that shed.
Thank you.
Yeah, not a chance. And the color. We had the only, and of course the home matched the shed, which would have been blue and white. That was our house too.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, I appreciate that.
There's not a chance. There's no photos online. I haven't thought about that shed for so long. This is like you could have ever Googled that. So good job.
Excellent. Thank you. Well, I can't take credit. I'm only the messenger. Your father came right through and he was very strong. So yeah. Yeah. And I have to tell you, sorry, because he's interrupting. He keeps showing me and I ignored him 3 times and he doesn't like that. So there's he keeps saying something about being a scholar. And he keeps showing me like a scroll, almost like it would have been like an accomplishment or like a degree or an achievement of some sort. What does that mean? Anything to you? Yeah. I feel like he's trying to tell me that he was a scholar.
I know exactly what it means.
Okay. And you don't have to get into detail, especially lives for the world, but as long as
I know exactly what it means.
Okay.
Somebody came up to me, another psychic person said, here's a gift from your grandfather. And it was just a toothpick. And I knew exactly instantly what it meant because
sorry guys,
would take all of my grandfather's toothpicks and I would hide them in his lamp because his lamp at the bottom next to his easy chair would have these holes and I'd hide. So his toothpicks would be gone. He knew I was over that day.
Yep.
So I get this person that comes up and says, here's a toothpick from your grandfather. He said you would know what it meant.
That's so cool.
And I'm like, I know exactly what that meant. And absolutely. So those kind of things are kind of weird.
That's me. I'm weird.
I know. Somebody who doesn't have any experience in that or is not, can't do that themselves. It's quite shocking. Yep. Good job.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
So is there anything you want everyone to know? Is there anything you want to talk about and let people know what's coming up and where can we find you? What's going on next?
Best place to find me is probably because I just joined Facebook. So that's a good thing. And we have a podcast every Wednesday called Untold Radio AM. And there's a website they can go to, or they can, look it up on all the different podcast platforms. So
wonderful.
It covers weird stuff too. But we'll have to have you guys on our show.
Oh, we'd love it. Are you ready for us? We're very watered down tonight.
That's good, maybe.
Good. Oh no, we would love it.
Yeah,
I'm going to put that in the link right there, and I will definitely stick it into the YouTube. So there is the URL for your radio show. Awesome. And if you were to give somebody new getting into this field Now let's scratch that. What's the one thing recently that's kept you continuing the search for the big hairy guy?
It's just curiosity. It's just, I'd like to know more. I still have never seen the face of one. I've had 2 sightings, pretty close up, but I have not seen their face. To me, that's everything. If you miss the face, what have you seen? Yeah. Clearly we both saw one standing at the side of the road, completely out in the open, unfettered by trees and brush, and it was moving and it was drying off. But I didn't see the face. So to me, it's kind of a non-sighting. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's my goal. But it's just curiosity about everything. Oh my God. I've got more curiosity to last me 1,000 lives. So
your dad agrees. Sorry.
Oh yeah. I drove my dad crazy.
He's doing good. I thought he was gone. He's like, nope, I'm right here. He's just listening. Yeah.
Yeah, God knows. I mean, he saw me get into the TV business. He just shook his head a little bit. He never made a comment, and came up to one of our sets one time we were shooting, and we did that, and he came to our, my first TV show's premiere party. We had a huge premiere party.
Yeah.
And I was very proud to have my dad there, because I was just this kid that was interested, that had invented this polymer.
Yes.
Then to get into the TV business, and apparently, and he said he already got success going. So it was cool. I was very proud, but he died quite a long time ago. So yeah, we miss him.
I know that feeling. Oh, that's wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Mike, any other last questions you wanted to ask?
I have so many questions.
I know you do. I know.
Doug knows I'll reach out to him when I find things that just don't make sense. Stalk his other podcasts and stuff. I gotta say thank you for your contributions and stuff like that. And it helps us grow, in your interest in the scientific point, is awesome. When I started putting my team together, the first thing I started to do was grabbing biologists and entomologists and zoologists and the medium over here to kind of really, even things out. Yeah. But, the programs that you've designed, incorporated, and put out there, and the contributions to nature, we just got to thank you. I mean, I really think, I said it earlier, maybe you're here to keep this stuff growing. And so thank you.
Well, you definitely have a purpose.
You're welcome. And certainly it wasn't done with anything but just childhood curiosity, and it'll continue as long as I can walk and move and have my health.
Well, it's your willingness, and it came quite natural for you, where for a lot of people, and myself included, it takes time, self-acceptance, and just being who you are and being comfortable in your own skin and just doing what you need to do. And that's amazing, because that's
the best thing to do.
The battle.
I try to practice talking people into doing things with you. I was a kid, I'd be like, hey, you want to hop on a train and go to Duluth? I was that kid. But usually it was just conning kids into adventures. Do you want to walk 100 miles to see if we can do it?
Well, with a test like that, I can see why you get a lot of practice. You have to keep convincing new people.
Hey, Dad, we're going to walk to Brainerd. He goes, I have a good time. We'd leave and come back, and he'd say, how was your trip? It's good. Peter, okay. But those are the kinds of things I was good at doing, conning other kids into doing maybe stupid stuff. None of it.
You were a troublemaker.
Hey, you want to take a Kmart raft? We can buy one for $4, and we can go down the Mississippi River.
Oh my God!
So you are Tom Sawyer.
Yeah. Well, I did a lot of that.
Right.
Yeah, we did a lot of bad adventures. Just it's dangerous stuff.
You live to tell about it, so that's good. Oh wow, that's awesome. Well, Doug, thank you so much. We truly appreciate having you on the show tonight.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
You, Mike. I'm signing off.
Yep. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Have a wonderful night. Take care.
Oh, wow.
Pretty cool, huh?
Yes. That was
what a nice guy.
Amazing. Yes.
Yeah.
And for you folks that tuned in, thank you. For you guys that'll catch it, on the playback, please check out Doug's stuff. It's absolutely amazing. I'll put more of the links into the YouTube.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything that man hasn't done, and he still has more on his list. That's amazing.
So
yeah.
Yep. Be
Very
safe,
good.
folks.
So wait a second. Hold on.
Oh, I
You're
know.
jumping the gun.
It's one of those days.
I'm the
Too
one
much time in the sun today.
No, today's my day to be slow. Okay. You get it like every other week. All right. So next week, what do we have coming up? Reading show. He's like, oh my God, you put me on the spot. We have a reading show next week.
Oh, yes. Reading show. And then the following week, we
have
Small
Town Monsters.
So we're definitely going to talk to the boys.
Specifically, we have Seth and we have Mark
Mansky.
Yes. Yep. Seth Breedlove and Mark Mansky coming on. And the three of these guys over here, this one included, is going to be talking about their new movie that's out that's doing very, very well, I might add. So congratulations on that. And then starting July and August, we are only going to be on twice a month just for the summer. So we can all get out there and enjoy and spend time with family but have time for adventures too. Yeah. I mean, it's not like you're not going to see us. I mean, still and all, but, yes. And we have other things coming up too. So keep your eyes posted or keep your eyes peeled on the things we post.
Wow. One of those days today. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks guys.
All right,
and have a great night and sample on.
Good night.